Welcome back to the Brandon K Show. I am your host, as always, Brandon K, and this is a real show. And I'm here today we're going to talk about CrossFit chat with my cousin, Patrick.
Hey, everyone. Proud to be here. Happy to be here.
Patrick!
Hey.
Is in the gym right now.
I'm in the gym. I got to say, last time I was on the show, I was in a car and my baby was crying. So this is hopefully a better setup here in my podcast studio live in the gym.
Exactly. And before we get started and talk everything CrossFit with my cousin Patrick, who knows all about it, we're going to say that Brandon K Show is sponsored by Giftiply. And we got the real ad right here.
This wrapping paper is disrupting the industry. Each wrapping paper design tells a story inspired by the missions of our nonprofit partners. We have a diverse set of causes you can support, from childhood cancer research to conservation and animal welfare to LGBTQ+ youth and more. Our paper is sustainable too. We use soy-based inks on 100% recyclable newspaper print for a boutique quality finish. And remember, now every gift can give back with Giftiply.
I love that wrapping paper. You can see it all displayed in there, and it's really great stuff.
Yeah, it's real wrapping paper, just like the Brandon K Show is a real show.
The snow leopard. So if you guys want to see more about Giftiply, check out Charity Chat, where I talked all with Patrick and Patrick about Giftiply.
Yeah, check it out. It was a great episode, and happy to support the Brandon K Show, and I appreciate what you're doing. I'm a big fan of the show, Brandon. I'm almost all caught up. I'm halfway through a couple of the episodes, but it's been great watching the show, especially when it's been every day in March.
I've been having a lot of fun, and so I had this idea to do. Well, we were also trying to do our 100 burpee challenge every day in March. I've been falling a little bit behind. I'm up to 24. You're up to 33.
Yeah, we've been doing a burpee. Do you want to tell that story on the CrossFit? Do you want to chat about that?
I mean, that's also every day in March. I'm on my Instagram doing my 100 burpee challenge that Patrick challenged me to, and we've been having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, well, what happened is I was talking to Brandon. You did a quote unquote 90-day or 100-day burpee challenge.
It's always like sporadic with me, but yeah,
sporadic.
I pushing myself in different positive areas for 90 days through the end of last year, and then Patrick pushed me to do this 100-day burpee challenge.
Well, so what happened is I said, hey, and I'm very familiar with the burpees because that's like the CrossFit thing that you do, burpees, and then we were having a phone call discussion, and which we do all the time, and I was like, hey man, how would those burpees go? Like it kind of just like faded off. I don't know if you ever did it. How did it go? And you were saying you were struggling with it and that you were having a challenge. And look, doing that stuff is really hard. Any day doing exercise is very hard. And I just channeled my experience with CrossFit when we did burpees. And first off, doing something like that many days in a row is really challenging. And Brandon was saying, hey, like I got really tired or, XYZ. And
I know that I like to go from 1 to 2 to 3. I like to kind of that beginning growth up to like 10 or 20. But once I get to 20, then I just drop off.
Yeah, I mean it's a nightmare. Right now it's a nightmare at 33, 34. It's tough, but what I will say about it is that I was kind of taken aback. Brandon, you were struggling with it, and I said, well, why don't we do them together? And so we've been trying to sync up, and we did a pretty good job early on, and now trying to get our schedules aligned up has been a little bit difficult, but and sickness, illness, Brandon's at the Catalina wine mixer. He wasn't able to do it, but essentially I've been trying to motivate each other and hold each other accountable and to do, and I added air squats because I was like, this isn't hard. You just have to do it. What is difficult is just finding the time to do it. And I right now when we're a little bit disconnected, trying to sync up on it, I got 2 kids and, you got things to do and all that. So it can be a challenge, but
I have videos every day in March to make.
Every day in March, but at the end of the day, we're trying to give each other enough grace. So if you miss a couple of days, we get back on the wagon. I am going to make it to 100, and that's and the reason why I said it's that if you work up to it slowly, you can do anything. Your body can prepare. Now, look, that's not to say that I haven't had some, like, oh, hey, my wrist was hurting today or my knee was hurting and this, that, and you kind of have to work through that and manage that and be safe about it.
When it comes to CrossFit, because you've actually done CrossFit at gyms, how many burpees do they push you to do there?
Yeah. So, with CrossFit, it depends. It depends on the workout of the day, so.
Of course it depends, but like, do they ever go very high, like to have very high levels with the burpees, like 50 or 100 or?
Yeah. So like there would be some days, and I mean, we can kind of talk about a bit later about the format of CrossFit. It's like where, one workout would be maybe 50 burpees that you do, or 100 ball squats. And then that would be what you do. Burpees are particularly known for being terrible for people that don't want to do them. So that was pretty rare. Usually they were mixed in with other things that you were doing. So you do one exercise and you do something else. You'd hop over, do like a squat or whatever. There was like there was all sorts of different types of styles for workouts. Yeah.
Yeah. So CrossFit is intense. I've never done full CrossFit. I've only done like a little hour here, hour there at the gym. But yeah, we could talk from the beginning of our health journey, growing up, I gained like 100 pounds when I was 18. Like I started rocketing up at a young age as soon as I had like access to fast food and just didn't. So yeah. And then I remember we did we would have competitions where we would try to lose weight. So that one, like when we were 20, we did like a bet, like a $200 bet.
Yeah. I knew all that. Yeah.
Who could lose the most weight with Alan?
I remember that. Well, and just while we get into it, almost like a little bit of a warning, we are going to be talking about weight loss, body image issues, and things like that. And so just if anybody has sensitivity to that, just, we understand that, and just this is your warning. So,
and I'm all body positive. Like I fluctuate so much. I go up and down, and I mean, obviously everybody wants to improve, in various ways. So, I mean, when we talk about exercise, it's just for the purpose of self-improvement.
Yeah. Well, and back in the day, and, it's tough because like it's hard to know, what makes somebody become overweight and everyone, my intent is not to shame people and all that. You have to consult your doctor about what is a safe range for you. What are your goals? And for me, sometimes I just wanted to look good, or my perception of look attractive. And sometimes it's been, I want to feel healthy or I want to be healthy. Right now I'm at a stage of, I want health longevity. So I do different things that do that. And working out is scientifically proven to help with life longevity.
And I will share for myself,
yeah.
Even beyond looking good or living long, it is about mental health for me because, like having a good mental state, also exercise can help with that.
Well, I 100% agree. And it's been said before of like, and look, there's so many caveats to this, but like, hey, are you feeling kind of depressed right now? Okay. Are you drinking enough water? Are you talking to friends? And are you working out?
Right.
And if those all aren't three things happening and you're not being part of your community, you're not, eating right, and you're not working out, there are scientific connections, physiological connections that are going to affect that. So that's not to say that that's a cure for everyone, but, I definitely consider myself a generally positive guy.
I know a lot of depressed people that exercise helps for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I'm very science and data driven on that. So like, yeah, those are things that you need to try to do and that can help. So it's definitely connected. And I think overeating, can be connected to child abuse and things like that, which I went through as a kid, and, you can speak for yourself, Brandon.
There was that in my past, but like, it's just stress. It's like stress eating.
Right.
And it is overeating and binge eating and food addiction. And it is deeply psychological, and I'm definitely still struggling with it. So
yeah, no, I mean, and this is probably the most transparent I'll ever be about it. It's like, or I've been. It's like, I know, I don't remember when I first really what ages. Actually, I do remember. I had high cholesterol, and I think I was just kind of average rate, and I think I was in high school, and I don't think I was like big or small or any. I don't remember. Maybe you remember more than I do, Brandon. But I had a cholesterol issue, and so I went on Atkins diet, and really got really thinny, like to the point where my parents were like, "Hey, you're too thin now." But my cholesterol went down, so everyone was happy. And then sorry, go ahead.
I remember you on Atkins diet in high school. I didn't remember how successful you were with it, but I remember you were always eating meat and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, I was, and I don't think I was on it for that long. And then I ended up, I mean, because like we were growing up, I don't remember us, I think you kind of were maybe a little fluffy, but I don't remember it being like a big thing. I mean, in our teenage years, I don't necessarily remember for sure.
Cholesterol was high before the Atkins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I went on Atkins to lose my cholesterol to go down.
Atkins helped you lower your cholesterol.
Oh yeah, it did, yeah.
Because that was like the first diet I ever heard of was Atkins, and then keto kind of came after that, maybe, or I heard about it later.
Yeah, and there was a lot of brand, there was a lot of money to be made, and I just didn't mind it. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna eat, this and that, and then I went through. Then I gained a lot of weight. So I probably went from like 175 to 290. And I blame that due to being in a really relationship. We'll leave names out of it, Brandon, just for whatever reason. But
you're talking about like that was up until like 25, 26. You had gained that much weight.
I started dating her in high school, and then I know I started gaining weight, and there were a lot of issues with that relationship and self-confidence and all that.
I remember the year was 2007. So we were probably both at pretty high weight around 2007. And then that was when I also started to quit drinking, was 2007 and 8.
And at that, so I was 290, and just for everyone listening and we're sitting down, I'm 6'5". So that's okay. You're a big guy. You're feeling pretty fluffy. And my relationship, and it's all connected, all this kind of stuff. Like my average, I'd go eat like garbage at work at Disney. And then I'd go on the way home and get like 8 things from Taco Bell, like 8 big things. And like, you have to eat a lot to continue that weight at that level. Cause I was, burning calories and just, one day, I don't know, some girl like took interest in me at Disney, and I was so miserable in my relationship. And something hit me, and I said, okay, hey, maybe my life can be different, and there's life after this relationship. Like I thought my life was over. I was going to get married and settle down and have a bunch of shitty kids or something, and be, that was my life. And some women like kind of took interest in me. I'm like, you know what, maybe I'm not trapped, and I need to get out of this relationship. And I'm kind of glossing over a lot of details there, but and I said, okay, I'm going to lose weight. So I just counted calories, and I went to the gym at I had a little gym. That was when I was living in Santa Ana, in that little small area, like a little forest. And I would go, and I'd go an hour on the elliptical. I didn't really care too much about weightlifting really at that point. I'm just going to burn calories. So I do elliptical. I do the exercise bike, and then I kept it at like 1,400 calories. I was calorie counting everything, and I dropped a massive amount of weight in like 4 months and got down to like in my 220s. And then at that point, it was like my whole life kind of changed and felt very body positive, and a lot of attention from a lot of ladies and all that kind of stuff. And so my whole life like kind of
so how did that go with you to go around that time? What were your thoughts on working out in general? Did you push through it pretty good, or did you start enjoying it right away?
No, working out sucks. I mean, there's no
hated it, never been a fan.
What's that?
You always hated it, never been a fan?
No, I've never. For working out is, so the thing about working out, and I've worked out, I'd say the majority of my life I've been in some sort of workout system or been doing some sort of form of exercise, is that it's very boring, and it's repetitive. It's like you don't necessarily see results quickly, so you have to have a lot of patience, and you have to have discipline, because no one's going to tell you to go to the gym. So it's like the biggest thing you can do is to focus and work out. And so I definitely makes you feel good. And what I always love is that it's an instant accomplishment when you go work out. But I think working out's boring. And any form of exercise is usually boring to me.
So some of the advice can be to try to make it fun. Even back then we would try to run together at times, or try to have like a contest, or how have you made it fun over the years?
So that's a great question. So I was, first you want to surround yourself with people who are kind of working out. So I've had girlfriends who worked out, and then I had another girlfriend who was like, she liked to run. And so we would be running around. So I'd run around Disneyland, like the whole perimeter of it.
And you'd
Running is super boring.
You'd make a goal to like run a marathon so that then you have something to like work up to.
Yeah. So I did a few half marathons, which was 13.1 miles. And that was good. You're right. Like getting a goal and like having something to do. And then when you do it, it feels like a good accomplishment. So I ran a few, and my time was like, for those of you that do half marathons, like 2 hours and 2 minutes. The morning I ran, when I was with this person and I ran a half marathon, I think I weighed in at like 202 or like 201. And that's the least amount I've ever weighed in my adult life. And people were kind of like, hey, you're a little too skinny there, buddy. And I'm like, well, I'm running I was running, to run for a marathon or half marathon, you have to run like every day or at least 5 days a week. And then you do long days and you do short days and you're kind of fluctuating your training. So that was helpful. And then then my knee issues. And I think
at that time, were you up to like running like 5+ miles a day or 5 times? Or
so
how much did you have to run to prepare for a marathon? Or
hundreds of miles.
I mean, like a day.
Yeah. So I'll walk you through like what you do. So let's say it's a week and you're starting out marathon training. What you want to do is you want to have like a short day, a medium day, short day, medium day, and then you do a long day. So usually, like, let's say if you're starting out, you may start off with 1 mile run. The next day, 2 miles, then 1 mile, then 2 miles. Then you may do 3.
2 is medium.
2 is medium. And then and there's actually systems for this that are in place. So at like maybe 5 to 8 weeks in, you're doing 4 miles, 6 miles, 4 miles, 6 miles. And then you have an 11-mile day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's boring. Just running. It's boring.
That's your biggest issue with it, not like physical, but just being bored the whole time.
I mean, injuries are, you're trying to make sure you're doing it slow. Like if you just do it, you might hurt yourself. I'm a big guy and I have a lot of pressure on my knees, so I cannot run right now, and I don't run. I do, I don't do that. But then I blew my knee out, and I had a meniscus tear at a Weenie Roast concert with you, and you had to carry me out fireman style. And my running days were essentially, they should have been over. I have run a few times since then, but I haven't run marathons since then.
You had a major surgery to correct that, right?
I did, yeah. My left knee's actually fine, which is the one I had surgery on. So my right knee is the one that like kind of acts up if I run at all, like anything. And I just have like the exercises I do to try to counteract that, and strength training and things like that. And
now you're walking. Do you ever run still?
No, like literally, if I walk at all or if I run at all, does it hurt? So yeah, I'm in a thing where I take business calls and I have kids, and so I push them for a walk during their nap, and I'm doing usually I'm walking between 4 and 8 miles a day, depending on how much time I have. And I either go in the morning or I go at lunchtime. And then I my quickest pace is I think I did like 17-minute mile for 8 miles, maybe like last week actually. And on that time, I'm listening to podcasts, or I'm taking work calls, or I'm doing work and like multitasking and all that.
Yeah, I did another challenge back in 2021 where I was like running every day. So I was to like running a couple miles a day, and I was enjoying it. I guess as long as I have the music or something to listen to, then it doesn't get too boring. But I don't think I went more than 2 miles ever. So.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I was feeling pretty good the other day, and I started like walking really fast and almost like jogging, and then like the knee pressure. Like if I was gonna run again, I'd probably want to get like a physical therapist and like do it as the right way as possible to do that. So like some things, so yeah, there's a lot of benefits to working out, and with CrossFit, there was a lot of just like, this is the general format of how it works: is you show up to a place. You're part of the community, and every day they usually they'll have a workout that you're supposed to do. And different CrossFit gyms workout sometimes do differently. The one that I did was you had like a skill session. Well, actually, you first do like warmed up. So you would just do random little things. You do stretches. You do like little exercises to warm up, and then you do some sort of skills thing. And that skills thing could be like Olympic style weightlifting. It could be just you're going to go for a run. You're going to do an exercise. And then the actual workout for the day was some sort of combination of exercises where it'd be like, okay, you're going to run a mile, or you're going to run 400 meters or 800 meters. You're going to do 10 burpees. Then you're going to do like a deadlift, and then you're going to cycle through it. So it's like circuit training almost. And That would be an hour of work. So you're like working out with a group of people. And the cool thing about it is, you had that team environment and you had your, the workout was already just going to be done for you. And like working out with people makes it a lot better. And you just showed up for an hour and then you left. And like, that was it. You did your workout, it was enough and you were good. You were good to go for the day.
You struggled with boredom and working out for many years. Like when you found CrossFit, that's like less boring to you.
Yeah, it was cool about it that I had two friends that were also kind of doing it. So sometimes we go together, like there was a sense of community. There are people that you knew there. And I think that like there's a thing out there missing right now in our societies where you used to have like what they call like a third place. So, you have work, you have home, but where's that like third place that you can hang out and meet people and spend time? And, in the past that's been church, and we know that the church is kind of not as popular, and you can make whatever assumptions you want on that. So having a third place to go during the day where, okay, you're meeting different people, you're all there, you're all on the same thing. I think that's very helpful. And, for you, I know you have AA, and that's like a cool third place that you have to meet people.
Well, that's synonymous, but.
Sorry.
With your community, but like you're saying that the gym is like your sense of community.
It can be, yeah. A lot of people were like really friendly. I didn't get too involved in like all the things that they had going on, but they had a lot of people that were there and definitely making friends and shared interests and all that. I just tried not to embarrass myself with all the exercises and do what I could do to do it.
Just and with your knee and with just being a newbie there, did you get through the whole workout, or did you kind of struggle with getting through a full workout?
Yeah, so it varies. So like when I first there, like I could not even do like a squat, like an air squat, which we were doing like a ton a day of. Mm-hmm. They're very patient, and what they do is they modify everything. So they modify you. So like maybe today you can't do a push-up, but here's what you can do now to one day do a push-up. So they're very good at like doing alternate exercises, which is really cool. They're very compassionate, and
that's great.
They're very accepting of anybody, of any ability. You come in here, we don't care. We'll do something that you can do. So for me, sometimes I felt like I could run, and then sometimes my knee would be acting up. And so instead of running, I would do bicycle or I'd row. And like I would do really well at the rowing. It was a very understanding and compassionate group. So when I really decided, well, there are a couple things that I had. And first of all, that's why like this is Olympic style serious weightlifting training. Like this is very serious stuff. So like I was prone to injury, and like I had a scenario where I just hurt my back because I was weightlifting above my head, and then my back just like sharp pain, and I was like, oh, I can't lift over my head. And then I had like a wrist issue with my right wrist, and I still have that with my burpees that I'm keeping stretching on, where it was hard to lay my hand like this and to do a Olympic style lift training. A lot of these like you have to like hold a weight right on your chest, and it's like a clean and jerk. And so like a lot of wrist work that I just started to feel like I can't do this. And like I was modifying so many things that I just said, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do something else. And then just to what it's worth, there are a lot of other organizations out there like Orange Theory and gym classes that, if I might have a YMCA over here where you can get that sense of community. This was definitely about like getting your personal best and self-improvement. They would log your different things and activities that you did, and they were very encouraging.
Oh yeah.
Which is really cool.
Orange Theory is not CrossFit. It's just kind of like other training.
Yeah, I can't speak too much on CrossFit, but I've been told that it is that same thing of like having a group that you're doing and then setting goals for yourself, and then also like a spin class. Spin classes is like a group thing that also people tend to enjoy.
So yeah, you were talking about the community. You were saying you found some people, you found some good instructors. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mean, the community aspects of it were really cool. Like there were, 4th of July, there'd be a picnic, and then there are different themes. They'd have different themes in different months, and Facebook groups and like get-togethers. I think I went to Epcot, and I didn't even participate as much as I even could have.
Yeah.
I felt like I had several groups of friends and people, but like and I'll just share kind of a separate experience. When I first moved to Orlando and I was in a operations type frontline service role, And I had no time. Like I was volunteering in the morning, and then I would go in at night for a job, and then I got a corporate 9-to-5 job, and then suddenly I found myself like, oh my gosh, what do I do with all my time? And like, I need to make more friends, and I need to get some sort of community. And I signed up for kickball, and that had varying degrees of interest to me. And I'd played a little bit in California with it, and then I joined improv. I started doing improv classes, and improv is where I really started making friends and people. To this day, I'm friends with that. I really enjoyed that sense of community. That's where I kind of started getting these extra friends. So by the time I was at CrossFit, like I already had like a lot of friends, and so I didn't need that sense of community too much.
Yeah.
But if you're like, sorry, go ahead.
Did you go to Epcot with the CrossFit people?
I don't think I ever did. I feel bad. Like I'm talking. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That's awesome though. Go on. I'm surprised. I thought that would be the one event you would definitely go to.
I know, and it's the thing that was what we had a lot of is that if I was single, I think that'd be one thing. And if my wife Kia was into CrossFit and wanted to get in there, I think that would have been another thing of like, okay, like if I'm going to say, hey Kia, come meet all these people you don't know and come to that was kind of a bit of a challenge there. Is just I feel like she wasn't into it, and so it's like, okay, well we already So
you were fitting. I remember you were fitting in CrossFit like way early in the morning before you even went to work, right?
Yeah. So usually CrossFit classes they have a 5 a.m. At least when I went to 6 a.m. And so I would do it in the morning and try to get to it. And then I was going through a bit of like underemployment at a time as well when I was going through that. So it's like 2016. There was just some circumstances that happened where I was freelancing, then a lot of my freelance work went away. And so then I just kind of show up at like 9, 10 o'clock, and then I was finally settling into that class. And it was good. It was like a good sense of structure to have something to do. When you're not employed fully, though that can get depressing real fast.
Yeah. The key word here is accountability. So you were signed up to like show up every day, or you made a commitment to show up every day. And then,
yeah.
The community was like you'd see the same people every day, I assume.
Yeah, you see a lot of the same faces, and that's kind of interesting because a lot of the business models for gyms are based on the assumption that people are not going to use their membership because if everybody showed up, there wouldn't be enough room. So here it's like they really do try to have as many people use their membership as possible, and you can put it on hold. And me, like I was towards the end, I was just like going on all these medical holds because I was just like, I injured myself and I need to get better, and whatever it was. But yeah, like they're basically it's just like, hey, they're like, hey, where have you been? Or it's just like it can be like hanging out with your friends, which is fun, And then which is also cool is that when I was traveling, you could show up you can do what's called a drop-in, and you can show up at any CrossFit gym in the world and cycle in. And like some operate differently and have different ways of going in it, but you could still get some sort of workout and meet people. And what was interesting about Orlando, and specifically the location that we were in, was it was right next to Disney. So we had a lot of people dropping in every day, and we were coming from somewhere different, which was pretty fun.
That's cool. So you mentioned that you had a previous injury before going to CrossFit, and then you mentioned you had injuries after CrossFit. Did you like injure yourself while you were at CrossFit?
Yeah, I mean, it was my back. So like some sort of something in my back was jacked up, and and I've had an issue for the years, but lifting over my back, it was a sharp pain in my back. And that's the thing is CrossFit is known for injuries and things like that. So you really need to, you need to be mindful of it. Don't overexert yourself. Right. But like when you've worked yourself up and you think you're fine, then out of nowhere, you're not, that's the trouble. And I've never really considered myself an athlete. So this was the most I've ever pushed myself really to be kind of somewhat fitness and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's there are some downsides. Like I said, is like, if you're not safe about it and you're not doing, a holistic approach, or, you're not consistent, you may push yourself too far and you might get injured. Sorry, go ahead.
Is that the major advice to like minimize injury, is just to be more mindful and just slow, to kind of want to push yourself, but like kind of slow down at the same time?
Yeah, I think being mindful, and then also, listening to your body. I know it sounds cliche, but like, look, I've had injuries over the years, and the back one was a little bit new, but and I'm also really tall. And so it's like, if you're probably a little bit more of an average build, and I don't think you're going to be as like the people that weren't getting injured all the time. I think it was just me kind of doing these random little things. I was like, okay, I'm not necessarily totally coordinated, but so I may have more of a me issue, but everyone needs to consult. Like if you were an athlete in college and high school or whatever, and you're now like trying to find something, I think that's kind of where you get that accountability. It's like you're joining a team almost, which is cool.
So as far as pros and cons of CrossFit, pros are to have accountability and have these community and to get committed. Anything else for pros?
Yeah, just showing up and having something different to do every day. Like I think that right now, like if I go to the gym, and I was going pretty frequently, and now I'm more doing long walks and the burpee stuff that we're doing. It's like I kind of fall into like a routine of the same thing over and over again. And like, okay, I'm going to do my arms and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the elliptical. I'm going to do this. And it starts to feel really repetitive versus kind of showing up and knowing you're going to do something probably very different today.
So these CrossFit sessions, they always were a mix of different stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're doing different exercises and learning different skills and working on different skills. Like,
did they have it set up like you knew that Monday was going to be one thing, or it was always different?
So they usually would post a schedule like day of, and you can see what the workout was. And I would try just to show up and not. But the idea that somebody's designing your workout, and sometimes they would be like, okay, for the next few months, we're going to work on this skill and that skill and all that. I mean, all this talk, it makes me want to go back to CrossFit. I just can't. I want to be prone to injury and hurt my back and all that kind of stuff.
No, I mean, I'm sure. Do you know anybody else who kind of did CrossFit and then maybe had an injury and didn't go back, or is that like?
I think people just kind of fall out of it. I don't know anybody personally, but a couple of my friends. I think a couple of my friends are still doing it. I think what it's kind of interesting is that like the high intensity workout, like with the burpees that we're doing right now, is probably the closest I've had to like that big of an impact. Usually I'm more of like, okay, I'm going to go on the elliptical and I'm going to lift some weights and, sculpt the vanity muscles or whatever. It really has to do with what is somebody's goal. Like, do they want to look lean, or why are they training? What's the purpose of it? And there's different benefits to doing different things, so if just going for a walk, that's good. That's great. I want to start building and start something that's challenging workout wise. Yeah. CrossFit can be challenging, but also anybody can come in and do it. And people of all sorts of sizes and shapes for doing it and doing different modifications to make it work. So some downsides, maybe that I did some pros. Downsides, it is known for being a bit expensive, so I think it's over, paying $100 to $200 a month, whatever that is. And a gym membership, maybe more like $75, $50, depending on where you're going. But you are getting that customized workout. Like it really is almost like you have a personal trainer that's a group trainer that's really focused on it. And, for the price of a meal, or going to a restaurant, maybe it makes sense for you to have that. And then just, driving. I mean, for me, it was like I was driving, 20 minutes away to get to it. That starts to add up too, as opposed to just being able to walk, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is like, if you're, for anybody at home who just wants to do it at home, like what are some, like you can do burpees. Is there any other good exercises you can just do at home that are CrossFit based?
So I think that like Olympic style weightlifting, and I don't know. I'm not qualified to make that suggestion about what that would be. Like, I think CrossFit is more about like high intensity things and doing them in circuits, which anybody can do. Right. So like, to me, like if I was on a vacation and there was no gym or CrossFit gym, like I would do exercises like, okay, I'm going to do 100 I'm going to do 20 setups. And then I'm going to do, I'm going to lift weight in some way. And then I'm going to do a 100-meter run on a elliptical or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just combining those exercises and then doing them. And I'm going to say, I'm going to do this 4 times. That is kind of like a CrossFit workout where you're working out different muscles and you're just going really, really, really hard, which has different advantages, to heart health and things like that. Now I'm in the slow and steady kind of thing of just going long and burning calories and all that, which is where my current goal is cutting weight.
Do you know, because I've heard you should focus on different muscles separately. Do you know the benefits of why they want to hit them all at once?
I I don't, and I'm sure somebody listening may know. I mean, I think it's about like it's high intensity training. It's like you are actually working out different muscles. It's just doing them faster and quicker, as opposed to just kind of sitting there. And that's the, well, I'll tell you about this, and you can, I feel like there's a lot of like, if you go to a traditional gym and you're going to weight lift, there's kind of a lot of sitting around, So I feel like there's a lot more efficient things that you can do where it's like, okay, not only was this me weightlifting and building muscle, but I'm also doing a cardio workout because I'm doing it a lot faster and I'm building in other exercises into it. So I think it's probably more about efficiency, and trying to do more things at once, to get it. And there are exercises that you can do that you are not going to injure yourself. Like, like, are you going to injure yourself doing a sit-up? Most likely not, right? So there's ways that you combine different exercises together, do them in a lot faster time than you normally would. And then you're starting to get that high intensity workout that has advantages.
Yeah, because I've been told that the resting is as important as the working out. So it seems like with CrossFit, do you guys take rests or?
Yeah, when you're done.
When you're done.
I mean,
it's just I don't know a lot about it, so I don't know why I've heard that focusing on certain areas is better, and why I've heard that resting is better. And then like CrossFit is just like, okay, let's do it all 1 hour, just the whole time.
Yeah, well, there is resting baked in, but like you're trying to do it in a certain amount of time. So like, let's just say I did it. I'm going to design a workout right now: 10 setups, 10 burpees, and I'm going to do 10 jump box jumps. So I'm going to jump onto a box.
That's a good.
And I'm gonna do that 5 times. And I log my time, and the first time I do it in 20 minutes. And then let's say a week later, I do it again and I did it in 18 minutes, and I'm starting to improve on that. Like, that's kind of the mindset is how fast can you do it? How efficient can you do it? And what I would just say to anybody listening, whether it's CrossFit or going to the gym, like, look, I'm not a gym rat. I'm not somebody there that's done, Olympic. I've just done a lot of different things, and I've had, health issues, or I've had, gained weight. I've been trying to lose, or I've done this, and I've been on that. I find that whatever works for you is going to be the best, right? So if you're at a position in your life where, hey, I just need to do something. Okay, well then start going for a walk. Just walk. Go download Map My Run or some app that logs your thing, and set a goal and just go for a walk. Anybody can walk 20 minutes a day. Unless you're in a blizzard, right? Just go for a walk 20 minutes and see if you can go faster the next time, and see if you can do more and set different goals. Okay. Even if you're on the couch right now okay, I'm gonna do that. Or I'm just going to focus on my vanity muscles. If you're lean already, okay, I'm just going to kind of work on that. Do this and do that. Do whatever works for you. And out of all the things I've done, just kind of rapid fire, keto can be hard because it's like, it can get expensive just eating meat all the time. What I'm trying to do now, because during COVID, drinking and eating a ton, I got the heaviest I've ever been, and now I'm at a point where I'm down like over 50 pounds from my highest weight. So,
woo, yeah.
And here's what I'm going to say: that was my goal. So I appreciate that. Weight loss, that's a goal. I'm trying to do that for health, longevity, and be able to keep up with my 2 sons. So I think that, like, for those that have struggled with it, I think that the best thing is to get into a mindset of not eating just limiting your habits. And like right now, I'm kind of just trying to keep under 1,800 calories. I'm not really trying that hard, but I'm trying to avoid like eating a ton of food. So it's like, if we're going to Taco Bell, I'm going to have 2 tacos, and I'm not going to get 6 things. Like, because that would be great to have all those calories. Like, I'm mindful and have a pretty good idea of how many calories are in things. So I'm trying to be mindful of that. And, drinking, like, I try just to avoid, IPAs, although I love IPAs. So, okay, sometimes I'll drink that. Otherwise I'll try to drink clear vodka based things like that. And then, soda is like the worst thing you could ever drink. Like, it's just pure calories.
What about diet soda?
Diet soda, yeah. Diet soda on a calorie perspective.
I drink Zevia. Zevia is 0 calories, zero like the sugar instead of, you know.
And there's a lot of noise about this and about like, oh, well, you know, Diet Coke's worse for you than regular soda. And if you ask, you know, a legitimate food nutritionist, they're going to tell you drinking 300 calories in a Coke versus no calories, like those calories are going to add stress to your body and they're going to add weight, which is, you know, so there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of evolution on thinking. You know, the food pyramid is, you know, completely nonsense. Like you should not be eating a whole ton of grains and bread and all these empty calories that have very little nutritional value. Like those are the things that in my brain, I'm just like avoiding. Like, okay, I'm not going to have 8 pieces of bread at dinner, or I kind of have pasta. I'm averse to pasta because I'm like, I'd rather have meat or I'd rather have vegetables that are healthier. And then, you know, but like, hey, but I'll go and I'll have a cheeseburger and I'll do things like that. Like I'm about to eat a cheeseburger actually. I think that like the best thing to do is, and I know we talked about it, is like, okay, if you get into a pattern or a mindset of, I'm going to do 6 days a week, I'm going to do something, I'm going to kind of keep my health under control or the calories or whatever it is and eat healthy. And then 1 day a week, I'm just going to let myself do what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to think, and I'm going to treat myself. And then that's it. And then you have to wait 6 days, and Sunday or Saturday is your next, you know, cheat day, they say.
Yeah.
People have said, you know, that is a really good way of doing it. And when you have that cheat day, go back, make sure you don't make it a cheat week, a cheat month. And I think that that's the psychological thing that we all can fall into is, okay, how do you get back once you've kind of, you know, gone into bad habits or eating a lot?
I think that's, and I don't even, you know, because I've had success with losing weight and I have some discipline, self-discipline, but I do feel like I am a food addict. And once I get started, it's hard to stop. So, I mean, I don't know if that cheat day is the advice for everybody, especially people who really struggle with food addiction. So, but it's about finding what's right for you. And, you know, if that works for you, that's great. And, for me, it's harder to slow down once I get into the binge eating. It's like, I'm going to keep going, but.
Well, I mean, I'll say this, you know, it's kind of like, I think that the reality is that I think it's unrealistic to think that people can really just eat healthy food nonstop. I think it's unreal. It's almost like the whole abstinence only thing. Like, I think it's unrealistic for people to think that they can just not have sex, like,
or not jerk off.
Right. I mean, definitely. I mean, there's actually like issues if you're not relieved as a man. No, I'm not even joking. Like there are health risks with that.
They say that you want to be jerking off like at least once a week or once every 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, there's cancer issues and things like that can pop up with that. Not what we're talking about, but I think it's unrealistic to say you need to be completely abstinent from food. Now, when we start talking about like drugs and alcohol, which like, you know, that's a horse of a different color. Like, no, it is obviously possible. My dad's, you know, 25 years sober. I know you've been sober for many years.
Well, it's also like sugar. So like sugar is like the trigger food. So like, you could like have a cheat day, but like if sugar is always going to trigger you, that you might want to stay away from it, you know, for some people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of it's
chocolate and sugar, you know, some stuff is just like more, it affects the brain like a drug. So, I mean, that's more what I've been learning about.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've never had, you know, first off, everyone's body's different. I mean, you just got to say that, right? Everyone has different mindsets and things like that.
Everything is different. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So like for me, you know, I drink caffeine for a lot of caffeine. Like I'd have Monsters a couple times a day, Monsters energy drink. And one day I just said, I'm not going to drink caffeine anymore. And I think it's been like 7 years I haven't drank caffeine. And like I've had a sip of a coffee, like Kia has her little delicious drinks from Starbucks, and I'll take a hit off that. But what's
wrong with that one? That's awesome. Well, I'm like 4 years no caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't like. There are benefits to drinking caffeine, so like I don't proselytize about it. But it was like and it's kind of funny because I just said the best thing is to just quit or is to have a cheat day. I didn't. So the point is, I never really felt that affected by caffeine to the point where like it had a huge thing. So like when I eat food. And I have like, oh, I'm going to eat like a delicious meal. Like I'm not, like I can feel good. But I don't feel like, oh, like I need to have a burger right now. Alcohol, though, that's the bad road. Like, okay, if I have a drink, I'm probably going to start, my eating is going to switch quite a bit. And I'm now going to want to have a delicious cheeseburger. We're going to Taco Bell on the way home and all that stuff.
Outside of the alcohol
Yeah.
conversation, but like even caffeine is a drug and people can get addicted to caffeine, and then you have withdrawals from caffeine. So, I mean,
I think caffeine is the most normalized addiction there is. Now, whether there's bad effects to that, but I think that's probably the discussion. Like, yeah, like people go and like, I gotta have my Starbucks, I gotta have my coffee. Like, I just think it's almost obnoxious.
so why did you quit caffeine?
Okay, so probably a legitimate answer is I had my drink of choice was like, vodka Monsters, and like I would have like heart palpitations and like feel like my heart going pretty quick on a few different occasions, and I'm like, that's a little scary, and I just felt like I didn't want to be relying on this or be using it as a tool, and my head I had it like, my wife's like, you're drinking too much caffeine, and people be like, oh, you're drinking so much, and I'm like, I just don't want to hear about it anymore. That was a factor. It was honestly peer pressure, and so I ended up just getting sick. I was at and I was like really badly sick, and not related to the caffeine, of course. I just got some sort of flu or something, and it had been 4 days, and I had just been in bed, and I hadn't I barely eaten anything, and I just drank water, and I just said, I haven't drank caffeine in 4 days. Why don't I just not drink caffeine anymore?
Yeah.
And there was no reason to drink caffeine.
Yeah.
And so
the withdrawals are probably like 3 or 4 days of the caffeine, and then you're not gonna, you were already through them, so it's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I was already sick, and I did have a headache. I had the caffeine withdrawal headaches, and so I did end up I took a couple shots of Monster. I seriously was doing that to try to wean off, and then I was just, okay, this is it. I don't drink caffeine anymore. And with that, there is a bit of a lifestyle change because you when you don't drink caffeine, your options for drinks out at restaurants become very limited or high in calories. So you can't drink iced tea. Lemonade is full of calories. Diet, you cannot get Diet Sprite Zero or Diet 7-Up. It's not ubiquitous. So now you're just drinking water or club soda. So I immediately just felt like, okay, well, now I'm not drinking a ton of soda. And then at home, then you have it at home, and then you kind of moderate it. You try to do it. So I was like, this is probably just a good choice in general. Like, I'm not having 3 Diet Cokes at dinner and whatever it is. So now I felt good about it, I don't even push it on people because like there are benefits to drinking caffeine, particularly in exercise and all that. But I just said, hey, you know what? It's been like this. And just the funny story, my wife, like when we have kids, she says, you're going to have to drink caffeine again. I'm like, no, I'm not. And we're in 2 kids, 5 months in on the second kid. I'm not drinking caffeine and use it as a crutch for anything. And I'm not saying I'm never going to drink caffeine again, but I've never had any interest or desire to do it.
One day at a time.
Well, and I don't even really think about it anymore. You know what I mean? So
I had a situation where I quit caffeine for like a year, and then I drank some Coke, and then I was back off to the races. So it does, just like any addiction, it's like you get back in the flow of it. So I am now 4 years off caffeine, and I feel good about it. I'm actually closer to 5, and yeah, I don't tell other people what to do, but for me, I think that I have more energy being off of caffeine because I'm not in the flow of needing my fix and then crashing and going up and down. It's like I've actually stabilized, I think, because of my absence of not using it,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And if you're sleepy, you're sleepy, and then if you're tired, you're tired, and I think there are ways of keeping awake, whether it's exercise, I mean, that's like when we do our burpees late at night, I'm like, oh God, it's going to keep me up getting all that adrenaline going. And it's interesting because there's other things out there too. We haven't even talked about like intermittent fasting and fasting in general and other things for people to health. But I know we're getting low on time here.
Yeah, when we get to F, we'll do a fasting episode. When I talked about fasting on TikTok that's
got
when,
canceled.
well, yeah, people were like, "Oh, this is not the right advice. Don't listen to this." But yeah, so there's a lot of anti-fasting people out there too. But yeah, we could talk about the pros and cons of fasting.
Yeah, well, and I think that there are a lot of, and maybe we can close with this. Like everyone, consult your doctors if you're going to start a weightlifting or a weight loss program, or you feel like you need this. I think make sure you're doing it for the reasons that you feel like you want to do, and be aware of societal pressures. And if your doctor says, "Hey, you're in good health," keep doing what you're doing. Great. If you want to run a marathon, great. Do it the right way. Train for it. Do it for the reasons that matter to you. And, I'm personally doing them for health, longevity reasons and heart health and all that. And setting an example for my kids of proper, eating and things like that, and trying to create a good environment. And I want to be able to keep up with them, because it's going to be difficult to keep up with little kids running them around. You know what I mean?
Around, are they, let's see, is your youngest, is he walking yet?
Yeah. Max is running around, and Ace is 5 months old and just kind of rolling around.
Yeah.
And look, everyone needs to, like, I think that in the health and exercise and food, the amount of conflicting misinformation, the lies that we were told growing up because of corporations interfering with it, so much of it is hard, and it's an evolving data-driven thing. Please do go to trusted sources, get different first takes. You can get 50 different people to tell you 50 different things. So do what's right for you. And, if everyone has the right to do what they want with their body, in my opinion. And if anybody wants support or chat further, happy to do it. And just make sure that, like, you're doing whatever you're going to do for the right reasons, and, not because you think it's society's telling you you're fat or skinny or whatever it is. And those are really complex issues. Just they are. So it's not like, there's no shame in whatever you want to do with your life. It's your body, your vessel, and you should treat it however you'd like. But know the consequences of that.
And when it comes to like CrossFit and like pushing yourself in that setting, like you found that basically the trainers, you said they work with you. They're not going to push you into doing things that, aren't good for you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in general, they're going to help and do that. They're not like they're monitoring a group of people. No one wants you to get injured, but like sometimes it's just, I've been doing great all the past year, and then I just happen to have an issue with my back, and then and I don't have that, there's random issues here and there, but like hard to plan for that, If you've been athletic your life, you probably would have no issue with CrossFit. For me, he was more of like I ran, did running, did the gym, do the lifting of the weights and things like that. It was definitely a challenge. And so I would say for people that, most of these places like Orange Theory, the YMCA, spin classes, they'll give you the first one for free. You can always drop in and usually get a free, see what you like, see what the vibe is. And then see, okay, is this the right environment for me? And a lot of these things are intimidating because you're going into a new community. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And so maybe try it for a month and say, hey, like, I kind of want to try this for a few weeks. And usually they have different scales of membership. And sometimes it's okay to come, hey, I need this right now for the next 6 months. And then you don't need it anymore, or you want to try something new. If I had ample time, I'd probably try and sample different things for different periods of time and see and find out where I'd fit the most in. Like sometimes you just I just need to go to the gym, or I just need to go for a walk, and I don't need to get into a whole class environment. There's different ways of handling that.
When I would go to these classes at the gym, they were lifting and kicking and punching and everything. I just would go at my own pace. So I think it's good to see what works for you, test things out, but then go at your own pace. Don't push yourself too hard, and find trainers that, don't push you too hard and understand your limitations. And we should only be probably gaining momentum a little bit at a time, so it's like, don't push yourself to don't push yourself too hard. That's my advice in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how you doing with the burpees? You staying on track?
Staying on track. So I text you every morning.
You're not challenged with it, you're just pushing through?
The biggest issues is timing of the day, and so I have to do them before I go out in the day and things like that. I haven't done them yet today, but I'm kind of dealing with like a foot issue, and then it's a whole bunch of things. Unrelated to burpees. It's just like it's a whole thing. So,
All right.
But yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we'll wrap this up. I'm gonna say that Patrick has a great wrapping paper company, Giftiply. You can check that out at giftiply.com. Brandon K Show is sponsored by Giftiply. Patrick is also a head honcho over there at the TETV channel. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Actually, yeah. So I got a bunch of plugs, folks. So I'm also, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in future episodes when I come back. But I spent the last 10 years kind of as a theme park designer in the theme park design world. So conceiving and creative directing, show writing, creatively, commercially, commercial creative. And we started live streaming about 4 years ago during the pandemic. So it's called TETV, Themed Experience TV. Maybe you could put in the comments section, Pat or Brandon, the links to that. We got Giftiply.
Giftiply, yeah, go on.
Yeah, Giftiply. So during the pandemic, there were a lot of out of work artists that we got together to create wrapping paper that donates to charity. And we're a sponsor. Use Brandon K Show at checkout for 25% off.
Hey, BK Show
at giftiply.com. And also, I'm actually not on X anymore. That's what I usually would tell people. I'm on Instagram. But I don't really post too much public stuff there. But please, feel free to follow me. I get a lot of random people following me these days, so feel free. I do sometimes drop in some stories, and I'm always live streaming with Brandon with our burpees. So
aren't you on X anymore?
So I am also on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn.com. So I've been a bit. We should put this as another episode. I was very inspired and was a fan of Elon Musk for several years, and I'm fortunate enough to have a Tesla. Big fan of it, and when he bought Twitter, and I was very excited and optimistic because it's the companies that I have done, or like Teslas are great, and just the iterations on all that. And when he was going to say we're going to be more balanced to it, and I said, okay, Garrett, we don't want echo chambers and things like that. And then he just started really posting and retweeting things that I consider to be against my values, and whether it's anti-trans, whether it's racist, and it was a slow build where I'm just like, this is getting a little too much, or like there's some things I can kind of rationalize, and then I just saw a tweet that I considered to be just very racist, and I said I'm out, like I'm not going to support a platform. And I was very, I had 1,000.
That was from Elon posted this specific.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that was what pushed you over the edge.
Yeah, this is like last month. This is I think I'm a month off X, and I was using X. I was mostly because I'm in the theme park community and posting it and all that. And I just said, you know what, I'm just not going to support this, and that's my value. I'm not a not a racist person, and I support the LGBTQ community, and to me, I was like, I can't be on this. I can't use this platform in good faith and support what this is about. And so it's a protest. Now, when you have a car, that's complicated. So I drive a car that's a Tesla. But I know I could stop using. I'm not gonna sell my car or anything like that. But I'm not gonna be a part of the platform anymore until further notice. But I think it is actually a net positive. I think we get sucked into these platforms and we think we have to be on them. And then it's like, once again, like a weekend, I don't even remember. I don't even think about it. And I was spending a lot of time just posting and tweeting things and all that.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to have a whole chat about that in the future. Maybe Elon chat.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm happy to. And I'll just say this. John Oliver did a special, he does like a show. It's like This Week with John Oliver or something like that. If you go on YouTube, maybe Brandon can link to it. It's actually on YouTube. this week tonight or whatever it is with John Oliver about Elon Musk. He does a whole discussion about it, the good and the bad of Elon Musk. I thought was just very accurate and about him. And, I think there's a lot of extreme views on Elon Musk. Like, oh, he has no talent. You can't get rockets to the moon without having a little talent. And my car drives itself 99% of the time. So I don't buy into all that hate, but he's just gone off into a really sad place, in my opinion. Got sucked into like very dark corners. And I'll just say this, like, I want all views represented. I don't want to be in an echo chamber. And I think it's important that everyone gets the multiple views from even people they disagree with. But when you talk about racism and discrimination, I just don't, it's not a value. It's not something I support. And so that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And we're going to have Patrick on the show next week, talking about dream building.
Yeah.
Talking about Disney. So we got a couple, he's coming to town, and we're going to have a couple good topics to chat about. And other than that, it's time to go, but you can see us on Instagram doing our burpees each day.
Yeah.
So Patrick, if you join me after this, I'd be happy to do some burpees with you.
Okay. Yeah. We'll do it. I got to get set up here. I got a burger sitting here waiting for me, but we'll do them right after.
All right. And thank you for being on the show. You've been an awesome guest. CrossFit Training, CrossFit Chat, and we'll see you next time tomorrow.
Bye. Thanks for having me on, Brandon.
Of course.